Chapter 11 Introduction to MIT Learning Objectives. After studying this chapter, you will be able to explain the App Inventor and its uses, discuss how to launch the App Inventor, identify app windows. App Inventor is a free web-based program that allows users to create and edit mobile phone applications for Android devices. App Inventor lets you develop applications for Android phones using a web browser and either the connected phone or an emulator. The App Inventor serves store your work and help you keep track of your projects. You build apps by working with the App Inventor Designer, where you select the components of your app, the App Inventor Blocks Editor, where you assemble program blocks that specify how the components should behave. You assemble programs visually, fitting pieces together like pieces of a puzzle. Your app appears on the phone step by step as you add pieces to it, so you can test your work as you build. When you are done, you can package your app and product and stand-alone application to install. If you don't have an Android phone, you can build your apps using the Android emulator, software that runs on your computer and behaves just like the phone. No more. The App Inventor development environment is supported by Mac OS X, GNU Linux, and Windows operating systems as several popular Android phone models. Applications created with App Inventor can be installed by any Android phone. You will make a mobile app, so it's fun to see it run on a phone or tablet while you build the app, and after, some setup is required to run your apps. Choose which way you want to connect to run your apps and follow the links to set up instructions. Android or iOS device, phone or tablet and Wi-Fi, Chromebook, Android device, phone or tablet and a USB cable, on-screen emulator, Android or iOS device, phone or tablet and Wi-Fi. To test your app as you create it, follow these steps to install the MIT App Inventor companion app on a phone or tablet. Step 1. Download and install the MIT App Inventor companion app on your Android or iOS device. Open the Google Play Store or Apple App Store on your phone or tablet, or use the buttons below to open the corresponding page. After downloading, step through the instructions to install the companion app on your device. You need to install the MIT App Inventor companion app only once, and then you can leave it on your phone or tablet for whenever you use App Inventor. Alternatively, you can scan the following QR codes to get either the iOS or Android app. For iOS, scan this code to go to the companion app on the Apple App Store. For Android, scan on this code to download the android.apk file for the companion app directly to your device. Step 2. Connect both your computer and your device to the same Wi-Fi network. App Inventor will automatically show you the app you are building, but only if your computer running App Inventor and your device running the companion are connected to the same Wi-Fi network. Step 3. Open an App Inventor project and connect it to your device. Go to App Inventor and open a project. Then, choose Connect and AI Companion from the top menu in your browser. A dialog with a QR code will appear on your PC screen. On your device, launch the MIT App Companion app just as you would do any app. Then, click the Scan QR code button on the companion and scan the code in the App Inventor window. Within a few seconds, you should see the app you are building on your device. It will update as you make changes to your design and blocks, a feature called live testing. If you have trouble scanning the QR code or your device does not have a scanner, type the code shown on the computer into the companion's text area on your device exactly as shown. The code is directly below where the screen on your PC shows your code is and consists of 6 characters. Type the 6 characters and choose the orange connect with code. Do not type an enter or carriage return. Type just the 6 characters followed by pressing the orange button. History time. The application was made available through request on July 12, 2010 and released publicly on December 15, 2010. What language is MIT App Inventor written in? The designer page of MIT App Inventor lets you set up the design of your app, while the code screen lets you add functionality. Both employ drag and drop capabilities. The programming language is block-based like Scratch. To access the app builder, you need a Google account. Follow the on-screen steps to log in into MIT App Inventor 2. After that, you'll be presented with the following dashboard. MIT App Inventor is a web application integrated development environment originally provided by Google and now maintained by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. This software will provide an easy interfacing for beginners. It is free and open source software. For creating app in this software, first you have to go for appinventor.mit.edu website. When you search for this website, you can see the below page on your screen. This is the home page of MIT App Inventor. 1. Click on Create Apps. 2. Next, click on Start New Project as shown in figure below. You'll be asked to give your project a name. As you're just exploring the MIT App Inventor 2 features, you can name it Test. 3. Click OK. Your project is automatically saved. 4. If you go to Projects, My Projects, you can see all your saved projects. 5. You select whether you are in the Designer or in the Blocks Editor tab. With MIT App Inventor, you have 2 main sections, Designer and Designer Block. The Designer gives you the ability to add buttons, add text, add screens, and edit the overall app look. 1. Palette. The palette contains the components to build the app design like buttons, sliders, images, labels, etc. Find your components and drag them to the viewer to add them to your app. 2. Viewer. This is where you drag the components to build the app look. Drag components from the palette to the viewer to see what your app will look like. Shows the phone display. Drag the user interface components here to add them to the screen. 3. Component. The name and organization of the components on screen 1. Use the buttons below to rename and delete the components. 4. Properties. This is where you select your components' properties like color, size, and orientation. Select a component in the components list to change its properties. 5. Media. List all the media resources that have been added to the app. Resources are typically images, icons, NAD sounds, etc. 6. User interface components. User interface components like the canvas, image sprite, sound, buttons, and the accelerometer sensor, etc. are listed here. A. Button. Button with the ability to detect clicks. Many aspects of this appearance can be changed, as well as whether it is clickable enabled. Its properties can be changed in the designer or in the blocks editor. B. Checkbox. Checkbox components can detect user taps and can change their Boolean state in response. A checkbox component raises an event when the user taps it. There are many properties affecting its appearance that can be set in the designer or blocks editor. C. Date Picker, a button that, when clicked on, launches a pop-up dialog to allow the users to select a date on the Gregorian calendar. Smart tip. Date and time are manipulated using methods in the clock component. D. Image. Component for displaying images and basic animations. The picture, to display, and other aspects of the image's appearance can be specified in the designer or in the block's editor. E. Label. Labels are components used to show text. A label displays text which is specified by the text property. Other properties, all of which can be set in the designer or block's editor, control the appearance and placement of the text. F. List picker. A button that, when clicked on, displays a list of texts for the user to choose among. The texts can be specified through the designer or block's editor by setting the elements from string property to the string separated concatenation. For example, choice 1, choice 2, choice 3, or by setting the elements property to a list in the block's editor. G. List view. This is a visible component that displays a list of text and image elements in your screen to display. Simple lists of strings may be set using the elements from string property. More complex lists of elements containing multiple strings and or images can be created using the list data and list view layout properties. H. Notifier. The notifier component displays alert messages and creates Android log entries through an assortment of methods. I. Password text box. User enter passwords in a password text box component, which hides the text that has been typed in. A password text box is the same as the ordinary text box component, except that it does not display the characters typed by the user. You can get or set the value of the text in the box with the text property. If text is blank, you can use the hint property to provide the user with a suggestion of what to type. The hint appears as faint text in the box. Password text box components are usually used with a button component. The user taps the button after entering text. J. Slider. A slider is a progress bar that adds a draggable thumb. You can touch the thumb and drag left or right to set the slider thumb position. As the slider thumb is dragged, it will trigger the position changed event, reporting the position of the slider thumb. The reported position of the thumb can be used to dynamically update another component attribute, such as the text box font size of a text box or the radius of a ball. The slider uses the following default values. However, these values can be changed through the designer or block's editor. Minimum value is equal to 10. Maximum value is equal to 50. Thumb position is equal to 30. K. Spinner. A spinner component that displays a dialog with a list of elements. These elements can be set in the designer or block's editor by setting the elements from string property to a comma-separated list of values. For example, choice 1, choice 2, choice 3, or by setting the elements property to a list in the block's editor. L. Switch. Switch components can detect user taps and can change their Boolean state in response. They are identical to checkboxes except in appearance. Switches have an on true state and an off false state. A switch component raises an event when the user taps it to toggle between states. M. Text box. The initial or user-entered text value in a text box component is in the text property. If text is blank, you can use the hint property to provide the user with a suggestion of what to type. The hint appears as a faint text in the box. The multi-line property determines if the text can have more than one line. For a single-line text box, the keyboard will close automatically when the user presses the Done key. To close the keyboard for multi-line text boxes, the app should use the hide keyboard method or rely on the user to press the back. The numbers only property restricts the keyboard to accept numeric input only. Other properties affect the appearance of the text box, text alignment, background color, etc., and whether it can be used enabled. Text boxes are usually used with the button component, with the user clicking on the button when text entry is complete. If the text entered by the user should not be displayed, use password text box instead. N. Time picker. A button that, when clicked on, opens a dialog to allow the user to select a time. O. Web viewer. The home URL can be specified in the designer or in the blocks editor. The view can be set to follow links when they are tapped and users can fill in web forms. Now, you are in the designer panel of your project, where you can lay out the user interfaces of your app. You choose things for the user interface things like buttons, images, text boxes to the palette. Click and hold on the Word button in the palette. Drag your mouse over to the viewer. Drop the button and a new button will appear on the viewer. You can change the properties of the components like height, width, text, and color to the Properties panel. To add components in the Designer block, component name, purpose, location, button, to know when screen touched, palette, user interface, button, sound, to play sound, palette, media, sound, accelerometer sensor, to sense the change in position of device, palette, sensor, accelerometer sensor. 2. Blocks editor. The blocks editor allows you to create custom functionality for your app. So, when you press the button, it actually does something with that event. You access it from the blocks button at the top right. Uses of block editor. The AI blocks editor is a tool for creating an AI program. The AI Visual Blocks language uses an iconic jigsaw metaphor for grammar and syntax. The two main sections of the AI Blocks windows are the Blocks palette and the viewer. The palette is similar to the UI palette in functionality. First, click on a block. An associated block menu sub-palette will open over the viewer section contents. See below. Next, simply click and drag on the desired palette block component to place it in the viewer window to add to the app code. 1. Built-in drawers. The built-in drawers are available regardless of which components are in your project. In addition to these language blocks, each component in your project has its own set of blocks specific to its own events, methods, and properties. This is an overview of all the built-in blocks available in the blocks editor. Find blocks for general behaviors you may want to add to your app and drag them to the block viewer. 2. Component-specific drawers. Find blocks for behavior for specific components and drag them to the block viewer. 3. Block. Snap blocks together to set app behavior. 4. Viewer. Drag blocks from the drawers to the blocks viewer to build relationship and behavior. Let's recall. App Inventor is a free web-based program that allows users to create and edit mobile phone applications for Android devices. App Inventor lets you develop applications for Android phones using a web browser and either the connected phone or an emulator. The App Inventor serves store your work and help you keep track of your projects. You select whether you are on the Designer or in the Blocks Editor tab. With MIT App Inventor, you have two main sections, Designer and Blocks.